Hi everyone, it's Juliana. I'm going to be sharing a tutorial with you today on how I created the daisies and roses on the wreath that I recently shared with you on the Circle blog. Okay, first I'm going to show you how to make the daisies that I created on my wreath. As you can see, I've got 5 different daisy cutouts. These two are 2.7 inches, this one's 2.5 inches, and these other two are 2.2 inches. The first thing that you're going to do is turn each of them over, and I found that the tip on my Cuttlebug quilling tool, even though it's got a little flat spot, it still is kind of nice and round, and it works really well to help give these flowers a little bit more dimension. So what I do is take this, it's just a foam craft mat. It's about maybe a 1/4 inch thick or so, and all I do is simply press and rub until the petals start to curl. Just kind of do that randomly over the petals. There's no set way as to how much rubbing that you should do, and you're going to repeat that same process with all of the petals. So once you have all of the petals, I guess kind of embossed a little bit, you're just giving them that texture, that dimensional look here. You're going to take the another tool that you might have around the house that has more of a smaller point on it. I found the tip on my Sharpie pen that I use for journaling to work really well. And once you flip them all over, you're going to stick this pen down into the middle of them and kind of just push really hard, and you'll find that it gives the flowers a little bit more dimension. Let's see here so you guys can see what I'm doing. And just push down, and I kind of twist it and put a little pressure through it. Push it down into the foam mat. Now that we have all the flowers ready to go, all you're going to do is simply layer them, and starting with the largest ones and going to the smallest. I prefer to use a hot glue gun. It just dries faster, and it actually gives them a little bit more dimension, especially on that wreath where you've got a project that's, you don't have to worry about how big it gets because it's going to be hanging on the wall. And then just apply a little glue and stick it back down in the middle, and just kind of rotate the petals a little bit. And you can also even take your pen if you're wanting to give them a little bit more dimension, stick that down in there before it's totally dry and make it a little more dimensional. You can even kind of bunch these little ones that are going to go in the center up a little more, and stick those in. And obviously you can add as many layers or as few layers as you like, just kind of depends on the type of flower you're looking for. And stick your pen down in there again, and there you go. And if it scrunches them up a little bit, that's fine. So once you have all your tools ready, again you're going to take your petals. I've got 4 large ones that are 2.7 inches, and then these smaller ones are 1.2 inches, and you're going to just flip them all over. And we're going to do the same technique that we did on the daisies with these large petals, where you're going to take the embossing or the embossing tip, I guess you could call it, that's what I kind of turned it into, and just rub it onto the petals. Again, just smashing them down to help give them that dimension. And you're going to repeat that same technique on all of the petals. And once you've got all the large petals rubbed on, you're going to take your scissors and do some cutting. This one I kind of cut myself as I was ripping it off the mat. But with this one, what you would do is just cut in between the petals, down through the center, so you have a piece like that. Okay? You're going to leave one completely whole without touching it. So you've got one full flower, one with one cut down to the middle. The next one you're going to cut down into the middle, and you're going to cut off one of the petals and set it to the side and use it for later. And then you're going to take the other one and cut to the middle and cut out two of the petals and again set it to the side. Then again, you're going to take your pen and just kind of stick it down into the middle, pushing it in as much as you like. Do that on all the flowers that you just did. Just kind of, this seems to give them all a nice little bit of dimension. Oh yeah, and I forgot, on these two, I usually cut off these tips because it ends up being too long, because we're going to use these two little small pieces to kind of go in the middle. So just cut off those tips like I did there and kind of round them off a little bit. Next, you're going to take your hot glue gun, and on the one where you cut one petal, you're just going to put a little glue on there, fold this one over and onto it there, and so then you have that flower. And you're going to repeat that on this next one here. Put a little glue, fold that one over and onto it. And then again here, same thing. So you'll have a 6-leaf petal, a 5-leaf petal, 4-leaf, and a 7-leaf, and then your two smaller ones. Then the next thing you can do, if you want to go ahead, again, sometimes I'll even, once they're glued together, stick this down in there and make sure I got them all raised up as much as you can. You're going to cut off the tips on these petals. That lets you kind of stick this down into the other centers a little more, as you'll see we're going to do here in just a minute. So just kind of cut that tip off with your scissors. There's don't need to worry about being neat there. Just kind of trim it off. Okay. And you can just scrunch it up a little more. Like I said, you can also take your skewer and kind of roll those petals under a little bit more if you want more of a rolled look there. Sometimes I do that now, sometimes I'll do it later. And then you're going to put some hot glue in the center there and stick your next smallest petal group there into that one. And a little more hot glue. So again, you're just layering them from larger to smaller. And kind of rotate them so that the petals aren't all going the same direction. And I'm going to put a little more in there. And then we'll stick that one in. Okay. And we're going to set that one to the side, let that glue dry for a second. I'm going to show you how we're going to make the center. You're going to take your 2 or 3 small little star-shaped flower petals, and you're going to need a little water bottle. There's just a little travel bottle in the travel section, and you're going to spray each with them a little bit of water. Take your handy dandy pen tip again and stick it in the middle. Again, kind of twist it around in there. And once you have that done, then you can even flip it over and kind of roll it. I even like to just kind of roll the petals around the tip. So you end up, when you take it off, having a little piece like that. So you'll repeat that with all 3 of those. Just kind of bend it around there. And one more here. And then that last one, I kind of even roll it up a little bit more and get it a little more balled up and scrunched together. And then what you're going to do with these, you're going to put a little hot glue on there, stick that down in the middle of one, hot glue it again, stick it down in the middle of this last one, so you end up with a little center like that. Okay. Oop. So one thing about glue guns, they will spread a little. Alright, and then the last thing we're going to do here is kind of put the center together. So we've got the big flower back. You're going to add a little dollop of hot glue in there. And now you're going to take those last two big petals that you had cut off from earlier, and you're just going to kind of scrunch those down in there. However, kind of make your own little center. Scrunch them down. Kind of see how that's starting to look there. And then I usually put a little more glue on the center. Stick that down in there. And while the stuff's still not quite dry, you can always move some of it around a little bit. That's kind of what I like. It dries fast, but you sometimes still have a little time to play around with it. And there you go. There's your rose. Now you feel free to spritz it with a little glimmer mist or things of that choice, or ink the edges, or whatever you want there to have your own little flower. Like I said, you can also take the skewer if you want your petals a little more rolled under, and you can do that sort of thing now too, and just kind of roll it over your fingers, and that gives it another little different look as well. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial, and if you all do end up creating some flowers or a wreath, we would love to see it, so make sure you share it with us. Thank you.